have you heard about the story of Damocles?
No.
Okay, let's go through this. So basically, Damocles is like a advisor of the king, and he would always look at the king with like, it was King Dionysus. And by the way, this is just a legend. It's not like a true story, or maybe it is. Who knows? But he always looked at King Dionysus and he's the second, and he always thought like, wow, he's got so much fame, glory. He's got all the beautiful women in the world. He's got money. He's got status. He's got everything because he's the king of his kingdom. And he always was like he always wanted that, and he wanted to be in that position. And he always just would fantasize about it and think about it all the time. And he always talk about it with King Dionysus, like, oh, you have all this glory and fame. Like, it must be an amazing life to live that way. And that it was his desire to also to have that experience. So what King Dionysus did was like, okay, look, you can sit on this throne and experience it for a day, but there's a condition that there's going to be like a sword over your at the top of your head that's hung by a horsehair basically. And yeah, you can experience that and see how it feels like. So Damocles was basically sitting on the throne, but he was just very conscious of like that sword that's above his head. At any moment, it could just snap off and he's gone. And he saw like, all the people, the servants serving him, all these things, beautiful women surrounded by him, like he's surrounded by, and the gold and all those things, but he couldn't concentrate on those things because he's worried about the sword that's above his head. And I think it's quite a very interesting analogy or metaphor, because in this day and age, especially with social media, we always want to strive to become like those, like Elon Musk or like those streamers, but they are also like king of the I would say the sort of Damocles, where it's like they're also living a very, I would say, scary, intimidating, and vulnerable life as well. At any moment, things can go chaotic. And I don't think people really realize that enough of.
That's a really interesting legend, because it kind of puts into perspective that to be the king or to be anyone that you strive to be, are you willing to take on the risks and what they have to go through to be in that position? And I think it goes back to the idea that you always just see the end goal of things. An example, Elon Musk, I think $200 billion net worth. That's all you see, right? And from a success metrics, owner of 3 companies, SpaceX, Tesla, I think PayPal? Or he sold that?
He sold that, I think.
Yeah.
Bought his first McLaren.
Yeah. McLaren. Success. Yeah. Like, you see the success, but then what is behind Elon Musk? I think Elon Musk has said this as well, like, everyone like wants to be like me, but believe me, you don't want to be like me. You don't want to be me, because of the stress and all the work that he has to put in, and, the sacrifices he has to make, the sacrifice of striving for a stronger purpose other than just his family. I'm sure he tries to make time for his family, etc. But let's be honest, like compared to how much balance does he probably find? Not a lot, and so if someone's values, his values are probably different to what someone else's values are. So, if someone's a family balance, so if someone that's got strong values for their family and they're family orientated and they want that strong balance, Elon Musk isn't the type of guy that you want to be. He's not the person that aligns with who you are. So yeah, that's an interesting analogy, because I think we see a lot of these famous people and famous streamers or podcasters, etc., but there's so much more behind that we forget. And I think it's this idea that we forget the story behind we forget who the person is behind that camera.
I think I remember watching stuff about like how he had abandonment issues and all these types of things as well. And that's something I think, and then that's probably a reason why of what keeps him or prioritizes his work over everything else, because that's what keeps him busy as well. And I think maybe that's why he doesn't probably prioritize his family as much as his work. Perhaps could be something from that. I'm just making like a speculation, But there's so much. What I'm trying to emphasize on is like there's so much behind, just like all the glory and stuff that you see behind that is presented to you on social media, and that's the thing about like this sort of Damocles, like where it's like there's a certain type of qualities, traits, and character the king of Dionysus had to build, but to the point that the sword above him wouldn't really. I mean, he doesn't have an actual sword above him, but metaphorically or symbolically speaking, it doesn't really affect him as much. He's still able to be composed, calm, and still make very decisive or make good decisions which will affect or be positive for his kingdom. And that's because he had to go through the struggle, the difficulty, and all of these types of things to get to that sort of status and be able to then preserve that. Because getting there is one thing, but preserving that is a complete different thing. Because getting that type of status and everything very quickly and handed to you is something that you won't be able to understand and appreciate the value of. I think we spoke about this before as well, because you haven't built the quality traits and understood like what you actually have until you lose it. Whereas he probably had to go through all those struggles and difficulties, and he knew exactly what the value of what he has and how much effect and impact it has based on his decision making and so many other aspects to it. And he had to build character because he had to go through struggles. And that's the thing about all these famous people that we see. Like, there's so much struggles, difficult sacrifices that they had to go through to become that. But to stay that for such a long period of time is also because of the fact that they've absorbed those. And I think something that's very underrated is we see all these like streamers, right, that we want to aspire to be. And honestly, like streaming is very difficult. Like just imagine having an audience of like you're 18 or 19. These are mainly like young streamers, right? A football-sized field of like an audience, literally, watching you every second for 10 hours straight. You have to keep that up. And at the same time, you have to be very conscious where you don't dox yourself, like your location. Otherwise, you have like, weird, creepy people that approach you, or just you have also SWAT teams that approach you, which is what I saw actually with FouseyTube recently, where when he was just getting his life back together, like he's more sort of stable and everything, he's just driving, I think it was from the gym or something, he's just in his car and he's streaming. And he's just going about his day, and then he sees in the mirror, like the whole SWAT team. It's basically like cops and all that, full police force basically. And he was just like, he was shook by it. And obviously like, it's just like some person knew his address or location, and they did like a fake call saying like, oh, there's like a bomb threat or something like that. That's why this SWAT team came. They don't know if it's fake or true, I mean, yeah. And they were saying like, oh, they said like he saw it and he's just like in shock, and he put his hands out the window because they were saying like, put your hands out the window. If you put your hands back into the car, we'll shoot you. And they're at gunpoint, like ready to shoot him at any moment in time. And obviously cooperated with them. And it's very important you actually be very calm and composed, because if you be very stressful and like anxious and you start to do erratic behavior, they're gonna think you have a weapon, and they don't know. They don't know if it's true or fake, and they're not gonna hesitate to take the action to shoot. So like, it's good that he was able to cooperate with them very calm and collectively. But these are the things that you don't really see a lot on social media, but these are the things that these guys go through. And it's almost like they also are in a position of sort of Damocles, where it's like at any moment of time, they can lose their life from some prank call by some horrible person on the internet that thinks that this is funny. And then you see like ishowspeed, he went to Europe, got like a lot of racism, and also at the same time, like even his own fans like bashed him or something. And I think it was like I forgot, it was in Norway or something like that. They just stomped him. Like his foot was like full. He had injury and stuff.
I know he was barricaded in a store. ishowspeed. That's all I know, but I didn't know he was stomped on. Or I think they've just rushed him at the instance for the sake of getting to him. Maybe it was just an overreaction to ishowspeed, but yeah, like as in, it goes back to the idea that they've had to be numb to that criticism over time and become numb to the people around them in a way. But it also the idea that they always have to be on the lookout. Yeah, they can't live life normal. You know, they have to live their lives very differently to how you live your life. And it goes back to like that king analogy where the king would have soldiers or guards with him at all times because of the threat. I think as you start going through different phases of that, there are different threats. So right now, the average human doesn't have the risks of many threats. You know, the most they'd be threatened is by a random stranger on the street if they're walking. But you don't become an active person that people are trying to target. And then there's this whole idea they go down a rabbit hole of trying to find things about you that they can use to either embarrass you or to sort of destroy, like to, I guess, destroy your life in a way. And sometimes deservedly so, right? Like there are plenty of examples, which we'll talk about later, that I can think of where, you know, people think things are hidden and then it comes out in light and you're like, oh, wow. But yeah, like you don't, again, it's all glamorized to the point. You see the glamorization of it, but you don't see the other aspect of it.
Like the hidden burdens that go behind it. Yeah.
Exactly. But like that ordeal for FouseyTube, like to think that someone called a SWAT police on you, like is absolutely insane. You know, and then like with the rise of like cyber warfare and AI and deep fakes and stuff, how is that going to impact? You know, we haven't even seen the impacts of that yet.
Yeah, that's going to get even worse when you think about it. Like just being able to simulate that type of like fake news, fake information to like those types of forces, right? That would be quite insane. It's obviously misinformation where they spread rumors about them doing XYZ type of activity. And it gets like breaking news and like then it becomes like a law case, which is not even needed when there's no evidence for it. It's all fabricated. But yeah, that's the thing. And I feel like also when you look at the stream, like there's so much negative comments that are very stabbing. Like when you look at it, it's like eye-catching. And it's just to see them like at 18, 19-year-old dealing with that type of thing. It's not really normal, I would say. Like a young teenager or even like a young adult seeing all that and being exposed to that. It is quite intimidating. But honestly, props to them to be able to do that. But it's just, these are things that I think people don't really understand that they have to go through and that they experience on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think, again, it goes back to the idea that you're just quick to compare the success and you want to be the success, but you don't want to put in the work to get to that success or take on the risks of being that successful. But I really like the idea that you spoke about how like the character you build along the way allows you to, first, it gives you the success, but secondly, it allows you to deal with the risks a lot better. You know, for an average person to be able to deal with those risks is unbelievable.
They would fall straight into depression.
Yeah, exactly. But for people like, you know, your Elon Musk, your other entrepreneurs, even streamers, like what they've had to build over time and become is something a lot of people won't be able to handle. You know, so it's important to put in the work to build that right attitude, the values and the resiliency to first of all take advantage of that success, but also continuing on that success as well. I know you shared a story about Neon earlier. What was that about?
Yeah, like there was like some story. I mean, like the stuff that he has to go through is quite insane. Like he's just like an 18, 19-year-old kid, right?
It's a bit annoying, but yeah.
He's like, to be honest, I'll be honest, like he creates the problems for himself. Like, he's completely like, I don't think the thing is he makes these mistakes with the wrong people, right? With like gang members and stuff. Like you shouldn't be messing around with them, right? There's consequences of being in their territory and like saying certain things. So as I said, like he sort of creates the problems for himself. And but this is like what I'm trying to emphasize on, like these young teenagers who think this is cool, like doing that type of stuff. And they don't realize, you have to also accept the consequences of your actions as well. And And that's like, oh yeah, there was actually an incident, I think, with one of the boxers. What's his name? Nate Diaz. Have you heard? You know Nate Diaz?
Yeah, Nate Diaz. UFC fighter, not a boxer.
Okay, here we go.
UFC fighter.
Yeah, so he was
Don't
like,
call him a boxer. He's an MMA fighter.
My bad. Yeah, MMA fighter. Completely my bad. But I don't know why I said boxer. But anyways, like, yeah, UFC fighter. So like, he's at a like, you know how they have like those
press conferences and stuff?
He said,
I saw that.
Yeah, so he said something like completely out of line there. It's like, and then obviously, like, I think his bodyguard just chased him down. Like, I don't think he was gonna do anything, but he chased him down just to intimidate him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, you know, if you're gonna say these things, make sure you stand up for it as well. Don't just run away and hide behind your bodyguard just to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's trying to teach him. But sometimes, like, yeah, there's like this funny quote I came across on Twitter, which is like, don't trust anyone that hasn't been punched in the face.
Yeah. I think Mike Tyson said that.
Yeah,
I think Mike Tyson
got it from him.
I think Mike Tyson said that. I don't know.
But honestly, I think he said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think, like, I completely agree with it. Like, because when you get punched in the face, like, it just hits you with reality. Like, those people who have been through struggle and difficulty, they're not gonna like they know the consequences of what they do and what they say. And I think sometimes, like, not that and I think that's the thing with some of these teenage streamers, like, they don't understand consequences. And you know, one thing is that I think I would say they got famous and too much wealth too quickly, that they aren't able to understand any consequences of what they have. And this is like prospect theory, where you get something very quickly handed to you, and it can easily also quickly lose it, but you won't because you don't understand its value, you don't appreciate it, you don't feel anything. It's like, because you experience growth so quickly, you don't really value it, and you don't, because you don't evaluate it, you can easily quickly lose it as well, and you don't feel anything. Oh, it's like, it's no different. It's like a crypto pump and dump with a project coin. But like, that's the thing, and I feel like, because and it's just like Damocles, right? If he got handed to be a king on that spot on that day, he wasn't even prepared for it, because he just didn't build qualities and traits and everything. So I feel like with fast growth can come with very fast, I would say, like corruption.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the traits, qualities, and at the same time, I think it's just you don't have the traits and qualities to preserve. Whereas slow growth, that's compounding consistently, will allow you to be able to preserve it and not make you fall into the, like, corruption. So I think with Neon, he did some weird things to get famous very quickly, like faking his death and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
Apparently he said it, so because he said he wasn't really relevant, so he did that to become relevant. It's all there. So, but that's the thing that I'm saying. And he got he got famous really quickly. But there's so many things that is not really, I would say, he's not at a stage to be able to understand consequences, and he hasn't developed, I guess, like, that life experience, and that's why he falls into these types of problems. And then, like, his bodyguard, I watched it, like, he called, like, Leon or something. He's advising him majority of the time, right? He's really trying to actually be like his father, trying to guide him in every single scenario, and he doesn't listen or value it. And that's the problem, because he just doesn't understand the value of what he has, or he got famous too quickly, that he just doesn't have those characteristics and qualities and traits.